So you pretty much just lived the American dream, moved to LA, make a successful company.
Well, I'll interrupt you real quick. I moved to LA and lost all my money.
Oh, wow.
And I made an unsuccessful company, but it was still, I can't say great experience because it hurt when that happened,
Okay.
but it was definitely a learning experience. So I was humbled, but at the same time, I wouldn't have nearly the success I've had with my clothing brand or anything else I've done without LA. LA has been super important to that. Super, super important.
Okay, so how did you bounce back from that first loss?
I've always been a designer. I've designed since I was really young, and I've worked with clothing brands. So I developed some shirts, and I really just didn't want to move back to Boston. I really wanted to still try to make something out here. I designed some shirts, started calling a whole bunch of stores, and they had some stickiness to them. People liked the shirts, and I gave them really great prices on them, and they hit the stores.
Gotcha.
I started getting into 10, 15, 30, 50 boutiques early on, and I was fortunate because customers bought the product, because most people think, man, if I just get in the store, but then the next step is, well, does somebody actually buy the product? And people started to buy the product, and these retailers would reorder from me, and I started to realize I got something here. So then that was the time when I was like, okay, well, I have this momentum. How do I turn it in? How do I turn this little thing I've created into an actual business and something that hopefully will be long lasting?
Okay. So do you think 6 years ago when you started that same method could work today? For instance, a new clothing brand starting today can just call boutiques, and is that like a successful blueprint, or is the way?
First of all, I think blueprint's tough. I think blueprints. I think the blueprints are so. I guess it's so much wider now. How people are successfully launching both clothing brands, but other types of businesses, especially because even 6 years ago, online wasn't nearly as prominent as it is today. Also, your boutiques are struggling a little bit more than they were back then. Traditional retail is struggling more than it was back then. So I think if you have a desire to be in boutiques, definitely grinding it out, making a whole bunch of calls is necessary. But at the same time, it's probably even tougher now than it was when I got started. So I'd say from a blueprint standpoint, if I was looking, if I was giving somebody advice when starting something, it'd be more about really building a fan base, owning something. Whether it's if you're in a college, how do you become the most important brand in that college? If you're, same if you're in a high school. I talked to a kid on the phone that had a clothing brand in a high school, and he was really worried about trying to get on Migos and Gucci Mane, and I was like, bro, just make it the coolest thing in your high school, because I can't do that, and you have a competitive advantage over me in that. So from my standpoint, the focus should really be on how do you develop a fan base in some sort of way.